If you could re-experience any fictional piece of media just once, you just got to pick one, what would you choose? If you could re-experience a TV series, rewatch a movie, replay a game, really, truly fresh from the start, I'm talking memory wipe and everything, all the privileges that you might want to have in this hypothetical scenario, whatever it may be, what would you choose? I mean, that's a funny question because it literally gets harder every single day. The budgets for these kind of fictional medias grow larger. The specified talent for these things, with people really specifically doing their best to work into just this particular environment, grows every single day. I mean, we now have actors who have spent more time training up to kind of start their careers than we have had actors in the past decades on decades that have had, training in their entire life. So picking something is difficult when the quality of new generations of content is, we're going to say, changing. Maybe you and I can have some video about the regression of CGI of the past few years. I have no idea what's happening there, but I mean, there's something. CGI should not be backpedaling quite as much as it is. But anyway, whatever. That's beside the point. Today, we're here to talk about my one choice. Now, the strange thing about this is that I have played thousands of hours of video games. It was my preferred method of entertainment when I was growing up because I was an only child. I have had like large entire summer breaks as a kid in school, just hiding away in some of my friends' houses and pretty much playing the entire break away, more or less. So anyway, all this is to say, we'll say, spent. I was about to go all the way for the wisely spent, but no, we're just gonna go for spent. A significant portion of my life kind of doing these things, and so this begs the question: if I got to be as choosy as I wanted to for a hypothetical scenario that is as gorgeous and perfect as we might so choose, what is my choice? I choose Outer Wilds. Now, if you're not familiar with Outer Wilds, it is a puzzling adventure game. I guess. I mean, it's a narratively driven space navigating mystery puzzle game. Check that out. Well, I mean, that sounds pretty good. I can go with that. Now, I'm sure that editing Alex has already, has already warned you, has already sort of come to you and briefed you on this situation. But if you have not played Outer Wilds, do not watch this video. There is absolutely no way that whatever chat you and I have in this video is going to be A, worth experiencing to its fullest extent, or B, worth sacrificing the novelty of, the information that's going on in Outer Wilds, comparatively to the game. If you haven't played it, please leave. Get out of here. Go play it. I'll still be here when you get done. Spoilers ahead. So, I have not played the DLC, but Outer Wilds is a game that is very steeped in kind of open-ended, loose ends type of deal. There's a lot that is just objectively true and has happened in the game, but there's a lot of things that are intentionally open-ended up to interpretation. And though I kind of like hate that, that's kind of agonizing. It's apparently what I like, right? I mean, some of my favorite things in some of my favorite other pieces of media, like Attack on Titan and Hollow Knight, also do the same thing, right? I mean, there's just something totally irresistible about like truly mysterious and fictitious media because the author does not have an answer. You're not going to get an answer, and so you just have to formulate one on your own. So because of that, the series becomes a little more personalized. Whatever, who cares? Um, Outer Wilds kind of starts with this premise of the universe is at least partially a living organism. And as a living organism, the universe has a life and a death and a reproduction cycle. These living organisms do a lot of moving around. They don't do a whole lot of staying still. To have the truth be told. So the premise here is that there is a signal that an ancient civilization, ancient relative to you, the protagonist, has picked up on, and through, I don't know, carbon dating, whatever. It's a fiction game. They have discerned that the signal is older than the universe itself. So this signal, sort of lovingly named the Eye of the Universe, is a quantum object. Wherein, long story short, just think of it as a seed, wherein it has Upon this seed being interacted with, and we'll kind of, we'll go over what that means more here in a second, the current universe collapses, is destroyed, is all bundled up, and then a new one is born, right? I mean, that's the whole point of the game, born rather than made. And so in this game, you are playing as a Hearthian, which is this race. So, I mean, you're vaguely humanoid, but I'm pretty sure you have 4 arms, if I can remember correctly. 4 arms and a ravenous, endless appetite for marshmallows, as you'll soon find out. And you explore space, you explore planets to put together a narrative, find out what happened thousands to millions of years ago, understand a great number of tragedies, probably die in a handful of tragic ways yourself, and then ultimately find out what is going on. You learn what's happening. And so, what is the actual gameplay like in Outer Wilds? That's one of my favorite parts of the game. So, here's the thing: if you've ever looked at speed runs for the game, I'm shaking my death. I put my arm on it. If you've ever seen speed runs of the games, there's no just totally asinine invisible walls locking you out. There's nothing like that going on. There are speed runs wherein you can jump in from spawn, finish this, I don't know, at least 10-hour game in a single run. It takes less than 20 minutes. I mean, it's possible. It can be done. But the game is about using this really satisfying and really quite densely invested physics system to consider your propulsion, consider your thrust, factor in gravity, sometimes buoyancy in water, and start finding things, start adventuring. Because at the very beginning of the game, a Nomai, ancient civilization, device attaches to you, sort of interacts with you in some form or fashion. And the reality of what's happening here is the Nomai wanted to find the eye of the universe. So upon finding the signal, the Nomai just abruptly, randomly out of nowhere, warp speed teleported up into the galaxy that your character is currently inhabiting. But a object that they didn't totally see existed, or perhaps didn't exist, and kind of in the way that they were looking, impeded them. They crashed into a planet called Dark Bramble, which honestly, I'm gonna have to make a whole separate video about. Dark Bramble is kick ass. Dark Bramble is so cool. And upon crashing into this universe, not this universe, this galaxy, the Nomai came to grasp that there is a moon that doesn't exist quite properly. There's just something that's not really going on all the way correctly. And later they find out that it's a quantum moon, which is something that exists in multiple places at once, but one particular possibility of its existence is fixed and locked in upon a conscious observer taking note of its existence, right? So it exists in multiple places at once until you look at it, and then you, by understanding it, lock it in. And this is an interesting kind of hyper literal interpretation of the many worlds theory, which I think is a big theme of the game. I think that's kind of an intentional message they have going on there. But anyway, they crash in Dark Bramble because Dark Bramble is a bigger on the inside than it is on the outside, space warping, crazy piece of galaxy ending garbage. And they spread out a little bit. They kind of, I don't want to say inhabit. They settle. They colonize on Ash Twin. I mean, they live in a lot of places, but the next important step is the Ash Twin planets, because they are so close to the sun. Long story short, the Nomai come to grasp that through crazy usages of energy and through correctly handling and manipulating black holes, that they can accomplish small-scale time travel. Of course, they are kind of distraught upon discovering how much power, how much energy it's going to take to actually do any meaningful thing. So, up there on the Ash Twin, they devise a plan where they are going to force the sun to go supernova, harness the energy of that supernova, use it to create a little black hole to send information, whatever, do a loop back 22 minutes. And so that's what happened with your character. The device that was set up to time loop was told to only actually pick a host, was told to only actually bring someone into the Groundhog Day, into the time loop, after their probe, something that they literally shot into random directions everywhere in space, finds the eye of the universe. I can't remember the number, but the time loop was set up partially up first. The time loop had the probe randomly shooting out until it found the signal. And so what it did, the probe would get launched by an orbital cannon in some random direction, and it would travel, whatever. And it would either A, not find information, which it did 9 million times, or B, find the information they were looking for, in which case the still functional ash twin planet would use the supernova energy to send the information back, which would then have a positive hit, know where the item is, activate the device to now bring the whoever, somebody who's standing next to the statue, into the time loop with the probe. And so now you are Groundhog Daying because the probe has been Groundhog Daying until it found a success. That's the long and the short of it. And it takes a little while to get to that reveal in the game. That's something you don't understand for a while. But anyway. And so you're stuck in this loop from this ancient civilization. So where are they? What are they doing? Why aren't they here? Well, the Nomai were going to artificially induce a supernova some 2,000 years ago. Because they wanted to do it now. They kind of wanted to get in on this thing, which, I mean, props to them for having the foresight to not immediately Groundhog Day themselves. Involving yourself with black holes, supernovas, and Groundhog Day does seem like a Black Mirror level, territory for unspeakable suffering. So, I mean, good for them, right? Good on them. Well, it turns out they failed to artificially make the sun go supernova. And so now your colony, your village, your civilization has a museum of their old culture because they existed on the planet that you exist on long ago, and that device was preserved. And you just happen to be walking by it when the sun does eventually start, or not when the sun starts to go supernova, when the probe does find the eye of the universe. So what happened to the Nomai? Yes, they failed to actually manually set the time loop 2,000 years ago, but I mean, they had to wait for the sun to naturally supernova 2,000 years later. What are they doing? They died. A big part of the, sorry, that's a little bit of abrupt. The big part of the sort of Nomai storytelling is that they got mad unlucky. That seems to be the objective analysis of what they have going on. They couldn't do it, whatever. So sad, it sucks. But there's a new thing for them to check out. There's a new thing for them to discover. There was a comet called the Interloper. It is, so sorry, I don't know if it's an asteroid or a meteor. I don't know the terminology there. It's covered in ice. It's icy, if that helps. And it is packed dense with something. So the Nomai go out, they travel. Oh, okay, what is this? This is some foreign object in our solar system. We might as well check it out. Turns out it is full of something called ghost matter, which is comically lethal. And it's packed super tightly in there. And so when the interloper comes close to the sun, it melts just enough to let it out and causes an enormous cascading explosion of hyper deadly existential warfare and just totally genocides the hell out of the Nomai. I mean, Nomai survivors in the solar system are, I think they're in this, they might not even be in the single digits, actually. So the Solanum situation is interesting. We'll have to get to that. So the actual gameplay is cleverly navigating parkour puzzles and talking to people, piecing together memories, doing puzzles, to figure out what happened to the Nomai. What did they do? What's going on? Why am I time looping? Blah, blah, blah. And there's all sorts of fun stuff going on in the game. This is a really big part of Outer Wilds because the story is just to die for. I mean, Outer Wilds would be a great book, be an incredible book. Honestly, I think it'd be a really good TV series too, or maybe even like a movie type of deal. There'd have to be some what are those things called? Montages. But anyway, the thing about Outer Wilds is that the physics-based like movement gameplay, and for me, the puzzles, it's not for everybody, but for me, the puzzles, it's just a really good time. It's fun to consume, and it's fun to kind of experience the story. So what happens after that? What's going on? Why do I love this game? You explore from planet to planet, going all over the place, and eventually your Harthian, the hatchling, I think is like the official protagonist name of the character that you play as, starts to uncover everything that's going on, piece everything together, and so you figure out that, actually, there's a number of endings now that I think about it. I did not play the DLC, so there's a DLC ending that I did not see, but I'll probably get to it. Honestly, I mean, if you guys actually enjoy single player stuff, I'll probably like do a let's play of it. I mean, we can check it out. You know, why not? But anyway, it comes to a point in time wherein the vessel that the Nomai traveled to this galaxy into for the first time thousands of years ago is not totally just destroyed. Like, it's not totally screwed up. And if you can find something to power it, it still has the coordinates to the eye of the universe locked in. So after you're traveling around understanding how do time loops work, how do black holes work, who are the Nomai, how do I fit into all this, blah, 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 going on, hours and hours of gameplay. Okay, you need to find a power source and find the Nomai's original ship, and you can get to the eye of the universe. Now, keep in mind, you don't even know what the eye of the universe is until the very end of the game. Turns out for you, there's just two unfortunate things that you have to do to get to the eye of the universe. Number one, the eye of the universe is inside of Dark Bramble, which is my favorite kind of explanation I've heard of it is it's like a dandelion. You find a seed, so it's a large plant body, and you find a seed on your planet. It's not actually a relevant plot beat, but anyway, that seed sprouts, consumes planets. I think it produces giant anglerfish. I think there's some sort of symbiotic relationship going on there. I'm not totally sure. I didn't do my research. And then it begins to warp space. There are actually multiple planets of size inside of Dark Bramble, and there's a whole bunch of wormholes that teleport you everywhere. It's misty, and it's difficult to navigate, and it's impossible to navigate in the beginning until you get a fix on the signal from the ship. So you just have to go through these super claustrophobic, misty, super literally dimensionally difficult to navigate planet-consuming holes with giant continent-sized anglerfish chasing right behind you and screaming at you. Okay, cool, whatever. I mean, it's a time loop video game. Whatever. Doing scary stuff is to be expected, but in one of my favorite, I'm going to call it a non-trope, and one of my favorite video game non-tropes of all time, because I wish that this was done more. It's not done enough. The only thing that can power their ship to get you to the eye of the universe is it's a little hourglass with two black holes in it, is the thing that is currently powering your time loop. So for you to progress the game, you have to dismantle the device that is currently time looping you, set in as close to the core of the sun as you can reasonably get, and drive it to the most dangerous place in the whole galaxy, which is basically like this dark, existentially, dimensionally impossible cave, and then go to a random place which may or may not actually exist. And the music the whole time is incredible. And so anyway, the end of the game, once again, I mean, final spoilers. Just, I mean, if for some reason you're just ungodly stubborn and you've stayed here the whole time, you bring the warp core, I believe it's called, to the eye of the universe, and it exists in a quantum space. And so it's like, when in game, when I actually went to the eye of the universe, I was reminded of when I was a kid. I was like a little kid, like 7 and younger. And I would lay my face flat down on the pillow and give myself vertigo or something like that. I mean, I don't think vertigo is quite the right word, but maybe if you've experienced it, you know what I'm talking about. You get kind of this dizzying, distanced feeling when smashing all your face up against a pillow, because it was just enormously huge and nebulous. And the quantum moon is necessary for your kind of understanding and getting there, because that's how you get to the eye of the universe. So it's basically impossible to actually physically locate. The quantum moon has 6 locations that it can be in at any given time. And one of those 6 places is with the eye of the universe. And so you go to the eye of the universe, and long story short, everything gets enormously philosophical and metaphorical. This is where I can't tell you objectively what's happening, but I can tell you my interpretation. The Harthian kind of has an end-of-life experience. You go into the eye of the universe, and there's 2 things happening. First and foremost, like I said in the beginning of the video, the eye of the universe is a seed that will birth the new universe. But because it is a quantum object, and that's why it's been so hard to find, one must perceive it for it to really even exist. And because it's a seed for a new universe, possibilities are infinite. And so the reason the eye of the universe was sending out a signal, it's debated if this is a conscious entity or not. That's not really clarified. Because this is basically asking for things to come see it. When you get to the eye of the universe, and when you're the one who lays your eyes on the eye, your mind, your memories, your perception, who you are, influences the new incoming universe. So that's what's happening kind of in actuality a little bit more. But in gameplay, the way that you experience that is you basically go through all your memories again, some of the highlights and especially deep lows of your journey show up in this kind of forest. And I think your character dies. My first impression when I just finished the game was that the universe collapsed in on the eye where you are, and your matter was compacted into another big bang. I don't know if that interpretation is valid because I didn't actually know at the time of my playing that the eye of the universe itself was a quantum object. So, I mean, whatever, who knows? But one thing is objectively true because of the way that the endings change based on your playthrough. Your perceiving the eye of the universe shapes the next universe. And as you might be able to see on my cup right here, I used to play a pretty good bit of D&D. I was the DM for most of the time that I played. And now that I work full time, dear Lord, I don't have time for that, not at all. Though I wish I did. I actually stole this ending and used it for some of my players. And of course, like most D&D campaigns, they never actually got there. But this idea of dying right at the end of the heat death of the whole universe. You're some of the last conscious existing beings in the universe. And finding that out because an impossibly intelligent previous civilization sort of sussed out the situation. The entire next universe being kind of a consequence of you, right? I mean, it's your memories, it's your personality. A big part of the campfire scene, your character dying at the end of the game, is music. The music that I think my plate is reflecting on my face. The music that you had been hearing all throughout the game, was an important game mechanic because every character played a different instrument, and that's how you found them to get more lore and how to move forward in the game. It's just a really heavily romanticized way to express cataclysmic, probably, I don't know if the death would be instantaneous, but incomprehensible death. And just, it brings in closure and optimism at the same time. It's closure because the whole universe is dead. Every character that you've met in the game, every organism you've met in the game, everything you've ever seen in that game is dead. Outer Wilds is a closed circuit. Nothing exists anymore. But you, the protagonist, you, the character, start a new universe. And what that means depends on how you played it, you know? And so I spent thousands of hours in Skyrim. I've spent 1,000 hours in TF2. There's plenty of games that I've just found ways to squirrel my time into. And I played Outer Wilds for, it can't have been more than 40 hours. Probably maybe 30 hours. And it beats out everything that I have watched and played. How is that even possible? I don't know. Especially since I didn't even play the DLC. You know what I mean? Wow. That's pretty crazy. But anyway, I made this video longer. I haven't been having as much time to edit and work on things. And so hopefully this can act as a little bit of a content apology. You get a little bit of a double length video as my apology for not actually giving you quite as much quantity of the content. But anyway, thank you for watching. Let me know how your experience was with Outer Wilds. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of my interpretations. Let me know how you feel about this new mic, actually. This baby right here took me probably about 15 hours, losing my temper a dozen times and about $1,000. So let me know how you feel about it. Let me see if it was worth it. Probably not. I put so much into it. It can't be worth it. This thing would have to be life-changing for it to be worth it. But anyway, I'll see you later. Thanks for stopping in this Saturday, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.